Hello everyone. Today we're going to find out how do I do a one sample hypothesis test for proportion using RStudio. The question we're going to ask today is, do a majority of LEAD students want fewer than 70% of chapels required? That is, do more than 50% of LEAD students want fewer than 70% of chapels required? So our null hypothesis would be that 50% of LEAD students want this, and our alternative hypothesis would be that more than 50% of LEAD students think that fewer than 70% of chapels should be required. And we're going to test this at the alpha equals 10% significance level. So let's go over to RStudio, and we can see that I've already uploaded the data here. And in that column, all of the respondents said what percentage of chapels they thought should be required. Now we need to count how many gave a response that was less than 70% and how many there are total. So to make this easier, we're going to use the library dplyr. It's a useful library for many kinds of data analysis techniques. So once you've installed it on your own RStudio, you just check the icon and it uploads the library. So now we can use the commands we need. In this case, the filter command. We want to filter our data by those students who said that the chapel percentage should be less than 70. And you have all the students there. Now, we don't actually need to know what they said, we just need to count them. So you could count how many there are, and you find out that there are 20 students who reported that they wanted fewer than 70% of chapels required. Well, now we need to know how many students there were total. So we can use the count command on the whole data set, and we see that there were 30 students total. Now it's time to actually perform our hypothesis test, and we're going to use the prop.test command. So whenever you're using the prop.test command, the first piece of information you enter is the number of respondents that gave the kind of response you're interested in. In this case, how many LEAD students in our sample said that fewer than 70% of chapels should be required. In our case, it was 20. How many people were there total in our survey? There were 30. What's our null hypothesis? Well, in our case, it is 50%. So it's p equals 0.5. We want to know, do more than 50% of LEAD students think this? And therefore, our alternative needs to be greater, because we want to know, do more than 50% of LEAD students think this? So if we run the test, we get a p-value of 0.05017. This is less than our significance level of 10%, or 0.1. And so we can conclude at the 10% significance level that it is true. A majority of these students want fewer than 70% of chapels required. We've rejected the null hypothesis and accepted our alternative hypothesis at the 10% significance level.